You want an Indian leg wrestle for the intro?
No, I'm good.
All right.
I'm good.
I would love that. I should definitely do that. Do the kid and play.
My sister beat me in an Indian leg wrestling contest last Thanksgiving.
Indian leg wrestling. That's interesting.
Yeah, you gotta lay on the floor and lock your legs.
Jesus.
It's a whole thing.
That's fucking crazy. Anyways, here we go. Welcome everybody. I'm Ralph, Fifth Ward Media. We are here today for our one-on-one series. This is episode number 9. As always, find us on YouTube, find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, everywhere podcasts stream. I'm sitting here with the man, Ren Thomas, Jersey's own, Jersey's favorite ginger.
That's me.
I don't know, I heard that. Chris mentioned something about you being Jersey's favorite ginger.
Chris, my man.
I had to kind of throw that in there, but welcome, Thank you, appreciate taking the time to sit and kick it with us.
For sure.
And, it's just here on St. Patty's Day.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of appropriate to have.
Yeah, I mean, I'm, my father's birthday is St. Patrick's Day. My grandmother's birthday was St. Patrick's Day. Hey. Rest in peace to Sean Price, my brother. Today was his birthday as well.
My father's birthday's tomorrow.
Oh, word?
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
Are they still, I think they're still Pisces. I'm March 1st, so I'm a Pisces. I'm not sure are they Pisces? Yeah. All right, perfect. So what's happening?
Hey man, just here, just a long day, but you know what? We made it. We're here.
Yeah.
I actually took like a deep dive into your music.
Okay.
Don't get me wrong, I love hip hop, but I'm more of an R&B guy.
Okay.
But then Chris sent me your music, and I was just like, oh shit, like this guy,
Yeah.
And I was like, he got skills, and I definitely want to sit and talk with him. So, kind of bring us to the beginning. Like, where in Jersey are you from?
So I'm from Clark, New Jersey.
Clark, New Jersey. Got it.
Yeah, like the whitest place on earth. Good to see you, brother.
You can find everything here. All the smoke.
Flowers.
Exactly. You got the flowers. There you go.
So I'm from Clark, New Jersey. That's actually where I met Chris.
Okay.
PRC, Puerto Rican Chris. That's what we call him.
Gotcha.
We met in high school. He was the only other dude in the school that rapped.
Oh.
And that's actually how we
Wait, Chris has bars?
He does.
He's been hiding?
He's
bars?
he's got bars.
He said no.
He's a liar.
He's like, fuck
a
no.
liar.
When you rap,
He's a liar.
16 in the tuck, yeah?
But yeah, so I grew up in Clark, but I was a lot different than everybody else that was there, I guess. I was very into hip hop at an early age.
Okay.
Fell in love with hip hop probably around 7 or 8 years old. And from that point on, I just wanted to rap.
Nice. What's the first album you listened to that kind of like where you fell in love with hip hop?
Right.
Or
So
song?
I would say, so I was very young. So my mother had bought me like this little boombox
Okay.
for like Sesame Street joints, right? So I had that for mad long.
Yeah.
I have a brother that's older than me. He's 9 years older. So he had like a collection of hip hop joints. So I stole a bunch of tapes one day because I was tired of listening to the same 2 tapes.
Of course.
And the tapes that I stole were 4, 5, 6 by Cool G Rap, Enter the Chambers by Wu-Tang, Only Built for Cuban Links, Raekwon, Tupac, I forget which Tupac album it was. It must have been Machiavelli. It must have been. Probably Machiavelli or All Eyes on Me. And another tape or two. Oh, Milkbone, The Milk Crate. Shout out to Milkbone. Most people don't know that he was the original white rapper. He came he's from Jersey.
Oh, okay.
From Perth Amboy, and we actually did the 20-year anniversary of his hit record,
Oh, nice.
which a lot of people don't know is the joint that Big L and Jay-Z freestyle over in their, that real famous freestyle.
Yeah, that freestyle that they did. Okay.
So back when Big L was supposed to be the next big thing and Jay-Z was just his homie. So those were the joints I listened to at first and just fell in love with hip hop. Didn't really understand what it was, but just knew I loved it. You know what I mean? Like at that time I'm playing sports and just being a kid, you know what I mean? Playing stickball and running around, playing football on the street and all that shit. And then I fall in love with this music and I don't really comprehend exactly what everybody's saying, but I know that I love it. And that's where it all starts.
All right. And so you Clark all the way into high school, right?
Clark until I went on my first tour.
Wow. How old were you when you went on the first tour?
26.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Shit. All right. So you put in the work.
Yeah.
Nice. Awesome.
It was definitely like I was the only dude that rapped from my town, but the areas around that town. So you got like Clarkson, if Clark's in the middle, you got Roselle, you got Rawway, you got Linden, you got Woodbridge, you got all these towns that surround it, and there were mad rappers there. So through high school, I'm making little tapes and shit, and they're cool. I could curse, right?
Yeah.
All right, cool, motherfuckers. So throughout high school, I'm making little tapes, and at that time I'm rapping like Mace, right? Like whatever's on the radio. You know, I'm trying to mimic that.
Yeah,
I also don't.
shiny suit rap.
Yeah. And I don't have any producers that are making production for me.
Oh.
So I'm rapping over like old Biggie beats or DJ Premier beats, whatever I can find on Kazaa and LimeWire and Napster. You know, all that
to be
shit.
alive, man.
Bro, crazy. So you think about it now, you could just go rip something off YouTube and it's like something that's actually original that some producer made that sounds like, you know what I mean? So during that time, I put out a couple projects. People are like, this is kind of crazy. I meet some older cats from other towns and I build a studio in my basement when I'm like 12 or 13. So I got all these dudes coming over who are like 21, 22, and we're all making records together.
Oh, shit.
So these were like the original stars in my life, right? This is before I'm idolizing other rappers. I'm idolizing these other cats that are just fire from around the way. But they're like, this is why like I kind of grow up fast, right? Because I'm around these cats, they're like smoking L's in my basement, and I'm like, yo, you know, we know what a spoof is, right? So they're like blowing into, people who don't know what a spoof is when you take a dryer sheet and stuff it in a toilet tissue fucking roll, and you blow the smoke out of it so it don't smell like weed, right? And these dudes are bringing bottles through, and I'm like drinking it at an early age like that too. So I'm hanging out with all these dudes, and they're into like a different kind of rap. They're into like Jedi mind tricks, outer space, nonfiction. So I start to dabble into the underground. And the way that these dudes rap was more like an underground style, like real raw, like just like aggressive kind of style. So I start to pick up on that. And through that, you know, I start to fall in love with Wu-Tang. I start to fall in love with all these other groups. And from that point, it kind of starts to turn into, my bad, my wife's talking shit.
No worries.
Then I start to fall into like, I'm nice at freestyling,
Okay.
right? So I get real good at freestyling, go to parties, rap. I wanted attention at that time, right? Like ugly, redheaded, chubby kid, right? All my boys are like Italian dudes with like real nice hair and shit, right? So we go to a party, how the fuck do I stand out? I stand out by being like, put a beat on. Boom, and I start killing shit, make fun of this dude, talk about this girl's sneaker, you know, whatever it is, right? And become like the star of the party, right? That makes me fall in love with this shit even more, right? And I just keep getting better and better. Since I was probably 13 years old, I've never taken a day off from creating, right? Whether that's just even thinking about it in my mind or actually getting in a studio or preparing for a rap battle or getting ready for a tour or a show or whatever it is, you know what I mean? So that's what I do throughout high school. And towards the end of high school, there's all these colleges around the way, right? So there's Montclair, there's Monmouth, there's Kane, there's Rutgers. I start going to all these battles, right? And they would have cash prizes for like $100, $200, right? I never lost. And I was like 15, battling dudes who were like 22, about to get out of college.
All right.
And like going there and doing freestyle battles over beats, right? And I was nice, right? So like, at that point, I remember my mother being like, I know you love this music shit, but where's it going? And then I remember coming home with an envelope full of $200, being like, I won. And she's like, well, who'd you beat? And I'm like, I don't know, a bunch of dudes from Long Branch who were fucking signed to a record label. And then she was like, wow, like, all right, maybe you should pursue it.
Of course.
So then that's up to high school, and then quit for a little bit, meet this dude. We end up getting a deal off of our first mixtape.
Oh, okay.
And I was 18. And that was really where everything started to happen.
All right, that's awesome. That's awesome. How was that process of like, all right, getting your after you know doing the battling and then working on your first project, getting that project out there and you know getting the support like
Yeah.
because you know when you first start you obviously start you gotta get it from the mud you know
Right.
it's growing pains.
Yeah.
So what were some of those growing pains that maybe you had to deal with?
So the first thing was like obviously being like a white dude from a white town.
Okay.
So like I wouldn't tell anybody where I was from.
Gotcha.
I would go into these battles at like Kane University, and cats would be like, "Where you from?" And I'd be like, "Eh." And they'd be like, "All right, word." And they'd be like, "Yo, Nork up in this bitch, right?" And they would spit, and then I would spit, and they'd be like, "What? That was crazy." And they'd be like, "Yo, where you from?" And I'm like, "Clark." And they'd be like, "What?" And I'd be like, 135, motherfucker. You know what I mean? Like, I was on some like excited, aggressive shit.
Of course. And for those of y'all that ain't from Jersey,
Yeah, Parkway.
we identify ourselves by our exits.
Yeah,
So 135, that's his exit.
Right.
Ours is 136.
right.
So for those of y'all who ain't from Jersey, that's how. If you ever hear that
Yo,
from
repping
somebody from Jersey,
135 is hilarious.
that's crazy. Yeah, that's
Screaming
wild.
135
Even
is
135 is fucking nuts.
Bro, and it felt so good because these cats were like, "Yo, like we don't believe that you're from there because you don't seem like you're from there," and like because I was always hip hop the fuck out. I've been wearing I've been wearing Carhartt and Champion and all that shit since I was fucking 12 years old. Yeah, like I would watch Wu-Tang videos or what you know, boot camp click shit, and I started to idolize those guys after the dudes from around the way that I would work with. So basically, like the dudes that I would work with back then, they all moved on, had families, lives, they stopped rapping. So when I was 18, I quit. I was basically like, yo, I'm done. I'm done with this shit. So now, I was done with music at that time. I was still freestyling shit. And I met this dude who made beats. We put a project together. And when we put the project out, we got a deal. And then that's what ended up leading me to battle rap professionally. Our first album got shelved. We were signed to a label that was part of Universal. So we had to fall back after it got shelved. And when we put out one single with this DJ named DJ Absurd. Shout out DJ Absurd. He probably doesn't know, but he's a big part of my career because he was basically the launching pad. Okay. So there's a group from Jersey named the Outsiders, right? Which Eminem was originally part of. And me and Pace One from the Outsiders had a record. And that record was the single off DJ Absurd's album. And I did a radio show to promote that album, and the dudes who shot for the Professional Battle League at the time, Grind Time, were also hosting the radio show. So when they heard me rap, they were like, yo, you should battle. And then they brought me out to battle because we were shelved. I couldn't do anything with music at the time.
Yeah.
I went and I battled, and I won the championship the first night. So it was like, maybe this is what I'm destined for. So I battled for 2 years, undefeated, got off of being shelved. Grind Time collapsed.
So you took getting shelved. You took that opportunity. Like fuck it, let me go do this, right? How did that feel when you first got shelved? Because I can imagine that has to sting a little, right?
I mean, my whole career was never a woe it's me. It was always, oh shit, this is fucked up on this road, veer off, figure out something else. But always bring it back to what the career wants to be, of what I wanted my career to be. So I wanted to be a rap. I wanted to make records, and I wanted to put joints out and do that. And at that point, you know, you have to have a label behind you. You know what I'm saying? We're talking about 2006. So this is like MySpace era, right? You can't put an album out. You can't just record something in your crib and put it out, and it just pops. You know what I mean? It's a different era.
That's the difference between back then and now.
Well,
now
yeah.
you could do that.
Right. You could we could literally pull up Pro Tools on your computer right now, record a song, put it out. It's a hit tomorrow. Could really happen. You know what I mean? So basically, like that's how the battle rap shit got started. And then from battle rap, when Grind Time collapsed, I needed to figure it out, and just kept grinding with the music. Just kept grinding and grinding and grinding. Did a lot of shows, a lot of local shows for no bread, performing for other rappers and their girlfriends. You know what I mean? That was like the grind, going up and down Jersey, going to Connecticut, going to Philly, going wherever. And then eventually I got signed to a label out in Philly, and then everything blew from there.
The music side.
The music side, yeah. Yeah, the battle rap shit was like a 2-year span. Then I fell back. Then they would ask me to come out. They always, still to this day, they contact me to come. I'm actually under contract with URL at this moment, but I just don't want to battle.
Politics and battle rap.
Too many politics. And the reason why I won't do URL is because I just beat one of their top guys and they won't put it out.
They shelf a lot of their
Exactly.
Oh.
So
Damn.
I had to fly out to fucking Arizona, beat one guy, then fly to Tampa and beat another guy, and then they held the footage.
Oh, nah.
If it's the guy you battle and is there a guy they're pushing,
It's the same thing. I'm the first person that ever beat Rosenberg Raw. But they never put it out. Well, it's out, but there's no decision on it. And back when I was doing professional battle rap, it was judged. You know what I mean? So it's different now, and I don't know. I'm just not really into it. Because basically you gotta take 2 or 3 months out of your year to write, prepare, get ready. You know, I mean, I'm sure there's guys that can fucking sit down, write some shit, and go do it the next day. That's not how I can't prepare that way. Maybe that's a discredit to myself, but it's just not what I can do.
Everybody has their process and their method
Right.
of how they prepare. You know, it's kind of like MMA and boxing. They got their training camp.
Right.
So I understand that. Like, you gotta take time out of your schedule, your life, your
Right.
year to do all that, but then you do such a good job that you're not getting the props because
Right.
they're not showing it.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, and then, you know, if the money's not there, right? I never did this for money. I started to make money, and then I saw the value in what I have.
okay.
So when I ask for money, and you're not gonna give me what I think I'm worth, then I'm not gonna do it.
Of course not.
So, you know, they still hit me and they're like, hey, we want you to battle some fucking nobody. And I'm like, all right, cool. What's the money like? If the money ain't there, then what am I gonna do it for fucking $500? What are you, fucking crazy? Why would I do that?
Nah, I feel you. It's a pain in the ass. I
Yeah.
don't blame you. But nah, man, I see that. My phone for a minute.
Everybody's got the same ringer.
Yeah, everybody got the same ringer, so it throws everybody off. Then I realized my phone's right there. Okay, so after all that, where do we go from there? Do we go directly to recording, let's say, another project, or is that when you start, when you get on the show on VH1?
Nah, so I signed to Sensi Star Records in 2016.
Okay.
I do a joint project with this rapper named Screw Tape. Shout out to Screw Tape, Philadelphia all day. We do a project called Don't Be Mad. That label is so impressed with it that they sign us both as solo artists as well. Okay. So originally they bring us in to do a duo album. So we had done a couple songs together and they liked it. From that point, me and him we start killing Philly. Like every rapper in Philly is fucking with us, and we're just running around Philly, killing shit. They give me a solo deal. During my solo deal is when I start fucking with Sean Price. I start fucking with Lord Sear. I do Sway. I do Team Backpack. I do my first tour, and then VH1 comes. So then I do VH1, and that experience catapults me. So I'm able to be like, I'm Sway's top 10 of the year. I'm Team Backpack World Champion, and I'm on a reality TV show.
So you're just padding that resume.
So my resume is so crazy at the time that I'm able, and I mean, maybe there are other artists that done it, but I don't think there are. But as an independent artist who has a majority split with their label, I'm able to go book my own tour, and my label gets none of it. So I get to go on tour and tour the entire country. I did 42 cities myself with just artists from those cities. Okay. So I'm the headliner, and I book like 3 or 4 other artists from that city, and we sell out a lot of the tour. Right, there's certain times it doesn't sell out, like Whitefish, Montana, and you know, like spots like that. But we fucking body this tour. I come home, things are looking great. Then the reality show comes out. And what happened on the reality show was the first day, They bring me into the spot. We didn't know who the judges were, right? So it's Rick Ross, Dream, and Lenny S. from Rockefeller.
Yes.
So when they bring us in, we're at Patchwork Studio in Atlanta. So we're all living in Atlanta in a hotel, all the people that are on the show. And they bring us to the pool room, right? Like the shooting pool, like billiards room. So upstairs, and they make us walk down the stairs, walk into the booth, walk out the booth, walk back up the stairs, and then walk back down the stairs and walk in and spit your verse. Now I'm winded as fuck.
Of course.
I'm a 2-pack-a-day smoker at the time, right? So they make us do that. I go in, and instead of going into my verse, I say Ren first. And I fuck up, and I go, yo, I fucked up. Can I run it back? They say, no, do your second song. I do my second song, Rick Ross. I said, now I know who they are because they're standing in front of me. Rick Ross goes, yo, after I do my second song, he goes, you're mad monotone.
Okay.
I'm like, yo, you're the most monotone motherfucker I've ever heard, right? I think this in my mind. Whatever. You spit the same way every fucking time. You never change pitch in your voice. So they have a resume from you in front of them. So they go, yo, you're kicked off the show. So now I'm like, all right, cool. Whatever. Came out to Atlanta for 2 weeks and this is fucking nonsense, whatever. So then Rick Ross goes, yo, it says on here that you're an undefeated battle rapper. He goes, I don't believe you. I said, cool, let's battle. So then he goes, I'm not gonna battle you, but I'm gonna bring one of my peoples down to battle you. He brings this dude down to battle me, I battle him, I smoke him.
Mop the floor with him.
But when the cameras turn off, the producer comes in of the show and goes, that was gold.
Of course it is.
So they're like,
Gold for
yo,
them.
we gotta keep him. So they keep me on the show, but never check my music.
Did they use that clip?
Oh, shit.
They use the clip of me and him battling.
So that's kind of brought you back onto the show.
I stayed on the
Saved you
show.
on the show.
So what happened was Ross was fucking chicks on the show. He didn't like the dudes fuck that shit. I don't give a fuck. I'm not under contract.
You got a free platform.
My Viacom contract is over. So like he doesn't like that these other dudes on the show are hooking up with other girls on the show. So every time he wanted to get rid of somebody, he made them battle me. I was just a weapon on the show to get rid of people.
Mercenary.
Yes. So
damn.
DJ Khaled says I'm the best one on the show. DJ Drama says I'm the best one on the show. DJ Mustard says I'm the only one he wants to work with. I forget who else the fuck was on the show, whatever, it doesn't matter. But just from those names alone, they're all saying, oh, it's Ren Thomas. Go with him. So at that point, damn, son. Damn. These motherfuckers. I'm trying to keep I'm like kind of sauced.
He's like, all of I hear is background.
So,
Hey!
hey, yo.
Professional video you gotta do.
That's all good. My mom's texting me too. So,
I told everybody, yo, do not text me. Do not
Yeah.
call me. I have shit to do.
hold on, let me hit this White Claw.
Salud, salud.
Hey, cheers.
We normally take shots and stuff, but
Word.
We could do a shot.
Say Patrick, we do a shot.
y'all want shots? Yeah, can y'all order some
You
shots?
do tequila?
What you want?
Bro.
Jameson,
Hey, bro, I drink alcohol.
I drink tequila if I got it.
Let me get the tequila.
There you go, right here.
So where was I?
He was just killing motherfuckers.
Oh yeah. So I end up getting to the last round, right? I make it all the way to the end, and throughout the process, Rick Ross is like, "Yo, I think you would be a good fit for Maybach, but I want you to be like different. I want you to do like some trap shit." And I was like, "No, I'm a boom bap hip hop artist from Jersey." So I turned him down. But throughout the process, Lenny S. from Rockefeller is bringing me to LA from Atlanta. He's bringing me to DJ Drama. He's bringing me to all these places.
Yeah.
So when it comes time for them to be like, yo, who are you signing? They all turn me down. But it made, so there was polls from VH1, and I was 10,000 votes ahead of number 2 of who they thought should win the show. The thing about it is I ended up becoming the most successful person on the show, probably next to the girl Just Brittany, because she was dating like Yo Gotti or somebody. So she ended up on Love and Hip Hop.
Gotcha.
So, I mean, and they played me on the last episode.
Of the show.
Yes. So what they do is they have a dress rehearsal for the last performance. So you wear your exact outfit, you wear everything. They have a crowd there. They have a built-in crowd already. This is TV. So we all perform, we do our record. And during my dress rehearsal, they cut my music. So I stopped rapping and I'm like, yo, what the fuck? So then they started again. So then when we do our actual performance that night, my shit is flawless. And they use my dress rehearsal performance on television.
No fucking
Yeah.
Damn.
That's real shit. And I've called out VH1 for it. I've called out Viacom for it. I've called out Rick Ross. I've called out Lenny S.
So needless to say, reality TV is bullshit.
So it's 100% it's edited for their benefit.
For their benefit.
So this is what it looks like from their end, right? So they're basically like, this dude's 10,000 votes ahead. How could we make it look like we didn't want him for a reason?
Let's cut him off at the knees.
Boom. They didn't want me because I didn't want to change and because Lenny S didn't think I had a hit. There's also a part on the show where the Dream, right? I go do my verse at DJ Drama.
Okay.
Drama made me spit it 3 times on radio. And Drama goes, yo, that shit is crazy. So when they come back, there's a conversation that happens when I go inside, and it's on the actual episode. And Lenny S says to Dream and Ross, he goes, Ren spit one of the illest verses. He goes, he spit one of the illest verses. And Dream goes, who cares, he's white. So I shit in the top of his toilet.
I would too. All right, you know what? Let's salute. On that note, salute, real quick.
Fuck that motherfucker. So,
On top of the toilet, I like that.
yeah, you know, in the back. Yeah.
Oh shit, where the water is.
Yeah. So every time you flush it, shit comes out. Cause he was being that way the whole time I was there. And like he was supposed to be the R&B part of the shit. Yo, I'm a big Dream fan.
He's one of the greatest.
He's amazing,
songwriters ever.
amazing. But as a person, he's an asshole. Like who would say something like that? Like if you heard M spit fucking Stir Crazy or fucking one of them joint, would you be like, doesn't matter, he's white? Come on, dog. That's crazy.
You know better, yeah.
It's like, I mean, I understand that we are, we didn't create the culture, right? I understand that.
You're in their eyes, you're viewed as a guest. You're
Yes.
a visitor in their
Yes.
culture, absolutely.
And I'll respect that until you disrespect me for being a guest. Like, bro, if I come to your house and I fucking treat it like gold the whole time I'm there, and then you're like, whatever, get the fuck out, then we have a problem. Like, fuck that. You know what I mean? Like, I understand that I'm a guest, but I love this shit. So what makes you more hip hop than me? You know, like that's kind of, it's a hard argument. And you would have to have, they would have to have classes on that and all kinds of things to really understand the depth of it, right? But like, if I loved hip hop since I was 8 years old, then why can't I be a part of it if KRS-One says that we are, right? So how does that, you know what I mean? Like, the Dream means less to hip hop than KRS-One does. Right, so if KRS-One is the teacher and he's saying this shit was built by a bunch of different groups of people, right? Because there were white people there in the beginning, there were Puerto Rican people there in the beginning, there were Mexican people
Yes,
there.
how King Diamond
Exactly,
Bronx.
exactly.
Everybody got together, blacks, Puerto Ricans, whites, everybody.
Exactly. And you know, I got mad at Lord Jamar when he said that Eminem was a guest.
Lord Jamar has a tendency to
Well, he's kind of a dick, and I think he hates me.
speaks out of his ass.
Well, I said Lord Jamar keyed my car and said he never regretted it. He ain't mad that I'm white, he mad because I'm relevant. I said it in front of him and Grand Poobah. So, you know, it is what it is. I can't be bitter at the things that have happened.
Yeah.
I'm just happy at the place that I'm at now.
Okay.
And where I'm at now is after the VH1 show, I still was able to tour. I was still able to do all these things. And
Because you still got the recognition off
Right.
of it. People still, just because they didn't, I guess, portray you in a favorable light because it wasn't working out how they wanted it to work out.
right,
You still could have gained an audience, whether it's a small audience or a larger audience. You still could have gained, like, you know what, man? I still like that guy because
Right.
he's talented.
right,
Because there's always gonna be space in hip hop for the kind of rap that you rap, the
Right.
because that's the original. That's the
Right.
Rap is so different nowadays, where you have all these different styles. You
Right.
got trap style, then you got like the West Coast flow, and you got the New York boom bap,
Right.
and you got the backpack shit. So
and
there's
I've always
always gonna be space for that.
right, and I've always prided myself on being able to do it all, right? Because I have trap records, and I have singing records, and I have rock records, and I've done all that shit, right? So like, I don't ever want to pigeon. I mean, the thing that people seem to generate's probably not the right word. Circulate.
Okay.
One of those words. Gravitate. That's it. Shot. The thing that they seem to gravitate towards more is the hard boom bap shit,
Yeah.
right? Which is what I started doing when I met those dudes from around the way in my basement when I was young, right? Because I'm more like punchline, aggressive.
How old are you?
I'm 35.
Okay. So
Jesus.
Attitude era.
Yeah. Like, and
Don't get me started on the wrestling references
Oh,
in
yeah.
music because that shit.
the wrestling. So
You were stunning people. in
the
hall.
other shit that drives me crazy, and these are my peoples, right? I knew them before they were big. So like, people think that wrestling rap started with Griselda.
Or with action.
Oh, this day and age, yeah.
In this day and age, they think it started with action and Griselda,
Okay.
and it didn't.
I have a record on MySpace using wrestling references.
Hashtag top 8.
Right. And so, that makes me sound bitter too. So I don't want to say all that
Nah, get your
because
shit out,
I got love for all them. I got love for Action Bronson. I met Action before he blew, when Mayhem Loren was actually the
but
guy.
There's also nothing wrong in kind of saying like, yo, like I was here before that. There's nothing wrong saying that, man. So, shit, get your shit on.
Yeah, I mean they were there too. Well, Action wasn't. I feel like I don't want to do an interview and talk bad about him.
Yeah.
Just because we like look the same and shit, and people have always compared me to him. And I'm like, yo, how you, like, I don't sound like him at all.
No.
People would, like, yo, I would push shit out and people would be in the comments and be like, he sounds like Action Bronson. And I would,
Action Bronson
I would be
sounds
like,
like Ghostface Killer.
yeah, I would be like, I look like Action Bronson.
I like
what the fuck?
I'm a fan of action.
Yeah.
But let's call it spade a spade.
Right.
He definitely sounds like Ghostface
I
Killer.
already had a deal,
Should play into it.
and people,
Ladder match.
no, well, I said something about him on a record, and but it wasn't like dissing him. It was like, keep doing your thing, but this block over here is mine. It was like, I forget exactly what I said first, but
Which is a competitive line because hip hop's competitive.
right, I'm
Competition.
yeah, we
Fuck it,
should
that shit
be
is healthy.
the
As long
thing
as
the
it
thing
doesn't cross over to personal.
the thing nowadays is everybody's so fucking sensitive, right? I want everybody to diss me. Diss me. Let's go back and forth on records. That'd
Listen,
be great.
when I came in here, I was watching that video.
Right.
Damn.
That's what I want
You
to
smack
like.
man's up.
I mean, my life has been so. When it comes to career and music, I exceeded every expectation I ever had as a 12-year-old kid. So I can live now comfortably knowing that I accomplished everything I ever wanted to do with music. Right? There's still more things, right? So like, you don't ever like, you're not gonna build a house and be like, oh, I want to do the roof first, right?
Just start with the foundation.
You're gonna start with the foundation, right? And I built my foundation, and I think I built the basement. I think there's still a crib to build, right? But at this point, I used to think that I wouldn't even have a plot of land. You know what I'm saying? So like, being able to chalk out a little bit of, this much in the
That was a bar.
You a rapper,
You're a rapper, yeah, bro.
That brain never stops working. Man.
being able to chip out a little bit in the game of hip hop for myself to have means more than anything that's, you know what I mean? Like the only thing that matters more to me is my family, right? And, you know, that's my career in a nutshell was amazing. I got to do sold out shows and do tours and meet my idols and, you know what I mean? So like, do songs with some of my idols and shit like that. So, I don't know.
Okay, so speaking of idols, well, who are some of like your idols or influences when you like obviously first started out to maybe now, and you're like when you're making music or just thinking about music or listening to who are some people you like fuck with? That you could say like, damn, that's my idol or like a big influence.
I mean, Sean Price was one of my biggest
Rest in
idols.
peace, man.
Yeah, and me and him became really good friends the last 6 months of his life, and you know, he was like my favorite rapper. And he saw me perform, and he was like, "Yo, you gave me goosebumps." And then we used to talk on the phone. Well, the night he died, I was supposed to meet him,
Shit.
and I was with him 3 days before he passed. And you know, that shit sucked. It was like, it was right before everything started to happen. Like, so before Sway, before Team Backpack, before the tours, before the TV show, he was like the first dude that was like, yo. But there was guys before that, like Pumpkinhead, rest in peace. Because I won the EO-Dub World Championship, or I'm sorry, I placed third in the World Championship. I won the United States in 2013, which is like one of the biggest competitions for underground artists. That's where Immortal Technique comes from. That's where, trying to think of who else, Justina Valentine, she comes from there.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a name I didn't think would come up when it comes.
Yo, she used to be a fucking nasty artist. I mean, she probably still is. I mean, that's my homegirl.
Yeah.
But I haven't seen her. I went into Wild and Out one time, and we said what's up. But you know, like we knew each other back in the day. We used to do the same shit, like go to EO-Dub. So EO-Dub was every Sunday night. It was an open mic, and then they used to have a competition as well. So it was like a lot of different shit. It was every dope MC from the tri-state area went there. So Slane comes from there. Vice Versus, rest in peace, Vice Versus. There's Nems, you know, Bing Bong. He comes from there. So I know Nems for fucking 15 years. I knew him when he was skinny, before he went to jail, before he put on all the weight, before he came back and started doing like the shit he was doing. I knew him when he was the Fight Club champion, when he was on MTV.
Okay.
So, you know, these guys are. I never did an interview where people talked. No, I'm fucking with you.
I'll drown it out in post production. But nah, actually, so I just got into like a deep dive of your music, fell down a rabbit hole. Thanks to Chris, he sent me some of the songs, and yo, some of your shit is like fucking dope. I have
Thank you.
Another Day in America. That was the
Yeah.
storytelling behind that was fucking dope.
Thank you.
And I appreciate also the for Designer for What, using
Yeah.
a little soundbite.
Yeah.
That was dope.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
That's how I first heard about you guys. Chris posted it on his Instagram, and I was like, oh shit, I'm gonna take this and use it for the beginning of the album.
Yeah, because when I saw him posting, I was like, what the fuck? So then I sent it to Paul, and I was like, yo, Paul, I was like, you famous now.
Yeah.
And then
She was dope.
he was
That
like,
clip alone, like hits you, like
yeah,
the way
that
he speaks.
the way,
Yeah.
the way both of y'all like just talk right there. But nah, that was you. Like you're obviously the boom bap, but you definitely are telling stories in your songs. You're not
Right.
in every song. You're not just rapping a rap. And I do feel sometimes that is an issue with a lot of the rappers, like you guys, where it's like they just rap to rap, and which is dope, cool. You love rapping,
Right.
That's your thing. But sometimes people want to hear like a story. You know, hip hop has always been storytelling,
Right.
You know, or maybe even if you make it personal, they want to hear you. They want to get to know you through your music,
Right.
So I feel like you do that in a lot of your songs.
Yeah.
So I definitely went down that rabbit hole. I'm like jamming this morning, and so I'm walking into work, and I have my headphones on, and my students are just looking at me, and they're like, like, Miss Patino, you good? And I'm like, yeah, yo, just listen to some good
Yeah.
music. And so, you know, they're super young because I got middle schoolers, and they're like, oh, who is it? Like, they're naming recent people, and I'm just like, I don't know who any of those people are. I was like, nah, this is. And so I like play like 2 songs for them.
Yeah.
And so one of the boys is like, oh shit, this is dope.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, I'm gonna email
Hey,
you his songs,
yeah.
and then here, listen to it. So
You know, the young, I feel like hip hop now is so microwavable.
I say that all the time. It's a microwave era.
Yeah.
Instant
So
gratification.
exactly.
Everybody wants it
So
now.
it's crazy because the the artists should be able to drop an album once a year. It used to be like twice, maybe 3 years. You know what I mean? Like there was just this
Now
build
it's
up.
every 3 months, and they're asking for a new album.
Well, sometimes it's even quicker than that. You know what I mean? So like, you look at like the Russes of the world, and like this guy put out a song a week until he popped.
You did that too, though.
I did do that. I did that with Ren's Day, and I'm gonna release Ren's Day Volume 2, because that's the world that we live in, and you kind of gotta, you can't be like this old man who's like,
off
back
my
in
board.
my day, you know what I mean? Like, so you
gotta
kind of,
adapt.
you gotta be like, all right, so I'm gonna give the kids, like I'm not making kiddie music, but like, I don't know, but you also have to stay like in tune with what your audience wants. So like,
You gotta stay in touch. You can't be out of touch.
and I think one of my biggest downfalls in my career was my audience thinking I was something and then putting out something that didn't exactly
they thought
fit
it was.
with what I thought I would. Yeah. So, like you think about like, I never really made anything that was super cohesive, because the way that people look at cohesive now is it's all the same. So somebody puts out a album that has 10 songs and they're all the exact same song,
Yeah.
right? Where my structure is Capital Punishment, where Pun does 26 songs and like 4 of them are the same, and then another 4 are similar, and then 4 more are similar,
Variety.
right? Because you have to have twins, and you have to have still not a player, right? Because what is why would I want to listen to your entire album if you're just rapping the same shit to the same beat? And that's a big problem nowadays too, because everybody just wants to rap on slow, one loop fucking drum beats, and half the times they don't put drums in them, and I don't know, it's just not doesn't go with what I want.
Yeah. So in like, I know, you know, because I'm a film guy. Like, I like watching a lot of movies. So it's what they call like a 4. You don't hit all 4 quadrants. In
Right.
movies, all 4 quadrants are men, women, kids, and old people.
Right.
And that's, you know, the music nowadays don't do that. It's one style only, and it's all about being viral and less
Yeah.
about being successful and more about being famous.
Right.
Would you agree with that?
100%. So like, it's weird because like in my journey in music, it was never about money or fame. It became about that when I started to get it. And that was a big downfall for me. I started to chase that shit. Like I'm going to fucking Magic City with Rick Ross and Meek Mill. And I'm making a bunch of bread at all these shows. And then I come back and my ego is on crazy, right? So I had to dial it back. I had to figure out what I wanted.